your message.
Okay.
Okay, there's something in the chat. Hang on.
You can hear us.
You can hear us.
You
Okay.
just say hello to us,
Okay.
Sean, just to see if we can hear you. And folks, you might pop on your cameras just so we see who we're chatting to. Mary Kingston, good to see you. Good to have you here.
Oh, hi, Mary.
Hello. How are things over the road?
Yes.
Not too bad, thank you.
Oh, hi. Hi, Mary.
Hello, Andrew.
Hi there.
Obviously,
So
very good staying
I don't
to
know
be.
who has heard our introduction. Is Sean? Can Sean hear us yet?
Yes, Sean can
Sean
hear
can
us.
hear us.
We can't
He
hear
can hear
him.
us.
Yeah.
Okay. So look,
So I think I'll
what we
proceed because we're moving
yeah,
on
I think
time.
Catherine, you go ahead, and Catherine's going to give us a rundown, everyone.
Okay. Here's hoping this works okay. Oh, crap.
Yeah, we see that.
Yeah. Sorry now. I'm just. I'm sorry, folks. It's too many things showing on my screen and I can't reach. Now we're going. Okay. Right. Okay. I'll be quite quick because we have plenty time to do questions and answers at the end. So what I want to do today is just give you as good an understanding of the Nuffield Scholarship Programme as I possibly can. So just to give you an overview of the what Nuffield is about. Nuffield is very much about, of course, excellence, promoting excellence in agriculture and sustainability, in production, distribution, and management of food systems. But it's also nearly as much, if not more, about personal development and developing leaders at local and global level. Some years ago, and Karen, who's present with us here, had something to do with that, I know. Nuffield internationally established a number or identified a number of values that kind of summarized or underpinned, if you like, the program. And those values, and we'll talk about them more later, are humility, respect, integrity, reciprocity, which is particularly important because we expect scholars to give back in a number of ways. Again, I'll talk about that. Diversity, thought leadership, and continuous learning mindset. And our own mission statement, which, sorry, I'm having to chase windows around the screen to see what I'm looking at, really is about discovering people who are genuinely passionate about contributing to the greater good of ag in the most general sense of the word, including, I suppose, society, rural and otherwise, and to help them develop their leadership capacity and their ability to think better into their career and into their lives. So the Nuffield network really originated from Lord Nuffield. He was also known as William Morris, he of the cars, and Lord Nuffield, he of the tractors, I suppose. It all started out in the UK in 1947, just in the immediate aftermath of the war, when Lord Nuffield felt that he ought to support the development or the development of British farmers to be able to better, do agriculture better and learn more from best practice around the world. So that was the origin of the actual scholarship and of the network. And we now have a network of about 2,000 living scholars in over 23 countries, of which 16 are actually Nuffield organised countries, and on 5 continents. So it's a big network, and it's a fairly powerful network. So the birthplace, as I said, of Nuffield Scholarship was in the UK, but Nuffield Australia runs pretty much the programme. I won't run through the details of this because this is more targeted, this particular slide is more targeted to the induction of the new scholars, but it's important to know that Nuffield Australia has a very strong part to play in running the programme. And then Nuffield International is, if you like, the umbrella body. It has a board on which each of the countries are represented, and it decides various details of the programs, which I'll go through in a second. It also sources funding to promote scholarships in countries where Nuffield doesn't quite exist yet. So moving along, these are the main organizations, as you can see, Nuffield, and then Nuffield International has some scholars in Chile, in Germany, in Poland, in Kenya, and a couple of other places also. And many of these organizations, for example, Nuffield Germany, Nuffield Poland, are now becoming organizations in their own right. Romania should be in there as well. It doesn't appear yet. So I suppose the most important thing for you to understand this evening is that, yes, there is a bursary. Yes, it's a very exciting program, but it is a demanding program. I'm going to put it that way. It's a 2-year program, which is not full-time, but is pretty demanding of your time all the same. So a scholar is selected at this time of year for the year that follows. And at the very beginning of the program, before year one even begins, we introduce the scholars to the Nuffield Ireland community at our conference, which is going to take place this year on the 14th of November next. We then, during the period from December to January approximately, we help them develop their study plans. We provide them with industry briefing days, with mentors, with writing training, etc. Then in March, everybody from all over the world congregates into one of the Nuffield countries that hosts the Contemporary Scholars Conference. More about that anon. And then in the period between March and roughly October, there is a choice of 5 to 6 organized travels called Global Focus Programs. They consist of 5 weeks of travel pretty much all around the globe, which are participated in by 10 to 12 scholars from all the Nuffield countries. And they give the opportunity to scholars to discover the agriculture and cultures, I should say agricultures plural, and cultures of the countries that they will visit. They learn about policies, they learn about political systems, geopolitics, and all that sort of stuff in real life, if you like, as it expresses itself in each of the countries that they visit. They visit farms, they visit agribusinesses, they visit policymakers, they visit all sorts of organizations. And these are pretty intensive travels. Following from the Global Focus Program, and sometimes literally following, so I'll come back to that in a moment, we expect our scholars to also travel to research the topic that they have selected themselves. So when we recruit scholars, we recruit a scholar with a topic. And the topic may evolve as a combined effort of the scholar themselves kind of taking a different view of the topic they had initially chosen and interaction with Nuffield Ireland or with various industry people. Anyway, cut a long story short, you will need some additional travel time to research the topic that you have picked. Then after that comes year 2 and the much less sexy stuff begins. And the much less sexy stuff consists of having to write a lot, write your report, because the output after the 2-year program is a report, I'm going to say, of not quite but quasi-academic quality. And it can be, there's a lot of very different reports being written. So I would recommend that you might have a look through our website. You will find the reports under each of the scholar. You would find the report that they have written. And basically, we have a set of deadlines by which we expect various elements of the report to be written. By the summer of year 2, we expect that report to be done, dusted, polished, and ready to upload and to publish. But it doesn't get published, and we retain IP, intellectual property, until the report is actually presented at our November conference, which for the scholars in question would be at the very end of year 2 of their program. Throughout this 2-year program, we expect our scholars to return monthly activity and planning reports to myself and to their mentor. We also expect them to write 3 articles for the Irish Farmers Journal about stories that they have found in their travels. You'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be surprised if you've read some of the articles that have been written by some of our scholars. you travel the world, you will find really interesting stories that will stop you in your tracks and that will make you think and will make you think that, this is a really cool story that I want to tell. So it's not going to be about your topic necessarily. In fact, ideally it won't be, because as I said, the IP is retained right out to the end of the program. So the Contemporary Scholars Conference is the first kind of big element of the program. That happens in the second week of March each year. And in 2026, it'll take place in Japan, which is quite exciting, I think. What it consists of is that all of the scholars from all of the Nuffield countries from around the world come together, but so do all my colleagues, for example, all my counterparts, and all of our country chairs come together for the country chairs and the executives like me. It's very much an opportunity to meet in person. We run, give or take a bit, we run the same program, so there's a lot we can learn from each other. But for the scholars, it's the first opportunity they have of starting up their own network. And believe me, it is an exceptional opportunity to do so. You will make contacts with people from all around the world. They'll be able to tell you, because they're quite well connected within their own country generally, they'll be able to tell you, oh, your topic is X. I know 3 or 4 or 5 people you need to talk to in my country about this topic. So this is really, it's practical and useful, but it's also the first opportunity you'll have to make real friendships that'll last for life. And that's the experience I think everyone has had. So as I said, 2026 we'll be going to Japan, and in 2027 we'll be going to Zimbabwe. Last year we were in New Zealand. That's all the photos that you're seeing there. And the idea there, what happens at that very large week, is very much a lot of conferencing, a lot of learning, both kind of personal development, but also learning about, as I said, geopolitics and the impact it has on food trade or food policies, learning about the agriculture and culture of the country that is hosting, discovering some very specific sectors from that industry, so from that particular country. So in our case, you can see from what you're looking at there that we learned quite a bit about dairy, and we also learned about kiwi growing. And what was fascinating was that this particular photo in the middle there of a kiwi orchard, this was the Zespri brand. I'm sure you've all come across that in your grocery stores.
And I presume, Catherine, it wasn't that you had massive big kiwi fruit and tiny people. It was just the optical illusion.
Correct. It's a perspective. Well spotted. See, we have very clever people in Nuffield Ireland. So anyway, moving along swiftly, as I said, there is also, following from the Contemporary Scholars Conference, or CSC, comes the Global Focus Program, or GFP, and that's a choice that you will make of one of 5 to 6 opportunities to travel with fellow scholars from all around the world. And you'll be visiting, as I said, farmers, farm businesses, agribusinesses, but also, government bodies and policymakers and all sorts. So, it's some of the destinations that have been traveled to, I have listed here down below. But the reality is that there's at least 2 of those that have unfortunately, that would have been important to us, but have unfortunately fallen by the wayside for obvious reasons, and that would be the Ukraine and Israel. So hopefully, and not for that particular reason, but hopefully those countries will be back to a form of normality adequate to allow for that to continue. So at the end of the program comes the conference. Well, it's an annual conference, so you will be going through 2 conferences at least as part of your program. But at the end of the program, our scholars come back to the conference to report. And this year, it will be our 2024 scholars who will come back. And I have their photos here from last year's conference. That's Michael Martin, that's Nick Cotter, that's Molly Garvey, Niall Herson, and John Keane. So a few words about the scholarship proper, because I think that's something that is particularly important to candidates. The bursary is a lot of money at €18,000. It's not insignificant. And we have increased it because travel costs have increased substantially in recent times. But one thing that I'm very keen to emphasize all the time is that it will go towards the cost of your 2-year program. It will not cover the totality of it. I'll leave you to do the maths, and I'm happy to share the slides afterwards. But suffice it to say, we estimate between swings and roundabouts, the program will probably cost you in and around 20k or thereabouts. We withhold €2,000 from the bursary until the report has been returned in a timely fashion, so within the deadline and finalized, so ready to be published. And we do support strongly around, getting a reader, interacting, and making sure that you have someone to help you finalize it. The bursary is not paid to the scholar. What we do is that we pay for the elements of the program from the bursary allocated to each scholar. And when the program is over and done with, and the report has been returned in a timely fashion, or not, as the case may be, but hopefully it will be returned in a timely fashion, if there is anything left in the bursary, it gets paid back to the scholar into their own pocket. So we also provide a mentor to each scholar and quite a bit of support around writing and around, even, we're at the end of the phone is the best way I can put it. There are monthly reports to the executive director and the mentor. That's very much to keep track of progress, which is important because, we've just invested 18k in you. We can't just let you run loose and not know where you're at. But it's also an opportunity, if you use it cleverly, to do two things. Number one, to keep us posted on how you're getting on. And sometimes you'll meet challenges and sometimes you'll need a bit of extra support, and you shouldn't be shy about looking for it. And the other thing that it does do, if you use it cleverly, is that you could use your monthly report as a way to prepare for your final report. So to organize your notes, to have a lot of info organized in it. We give you a template, and it's not something we expect you to write from scratch every month. We just expect you to put updates into it. Just a bit of focus on the contractual obligations, because when you get a bursary of 18,000, you sign a contract, and that contract obliges you to do a minimum of 10 weeks plus of travel. One of that would be your Contemporary Scholars Conference. You'll do 5 weeks in the GFP, and you'll do 4 or more of your personal travels. The report writing, I have bolded, and because I can't emphasize it well enough, it is always a challenging thing to do. So when you start out, you're full of the joys of life. When it comes to writing, it becomes much less sexy. Article writing is also part and parcel. We have a very strong supporter in the Irish Farmers Journal, and they're really good at publishing articles, and they're very welcoming of good stories from all around the world, well illustrated with quality photos and etc. You will be presenting your findings and your recommendations at the year 2 of at the conference at the end of year 2. And you will also participate in organizing the Global Focus Programme week when they come over through Ireland, which happens each year. So reciprocity is expected of scholars after the programme is completed. And by and large, we find that most of our scholars are more than happy to reciprocate. And there's a very good example of 3 of them, right here in front of you. Andrew, Karen and Brian, all of whom are scholars. Andrew is on our board. Karen was our chair for when I started here. And Brian certainly has never been found shy of saying how high when asked to jump. So, that's the kind of thing that would be expected when we talk about reciprocity. Personal commitment is huge, and I can't emphasize that well enough. Most people would either be self-employed and have their own business to run and organize. That's not a small thing when you disappear for 5-6 weeks at a time or more. So, you need to really prepare that with your business, with your loved ones. If you are employed by a third party, so you're not self-employed, obviously that requires a conversation and support. So there's a lot to be prepped ahead, and it's not going to go without that personal commitment. And there's also other opportunities, particularly the participating in the UNFAO in Rome. I can talk about that more if people have questions afterwards. So we have 122 scholars currently, and I just thought I would have a go at identifying our ideal candidates. And this is not exhaustive, but just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
So the people we're looking for.
Change that slide there,
Say that again?
Sorry.
Say that again?
The slide there. Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
You have it up. It's okay.
I'm coming to you from deepest Donegal, and the line may not be particularly wonderful. But anyway, sorry about that.
That explains it. Yeah.
So we are
slight delay in this.
Our ideal candidates are women and men resident in Ireland who are committed to Irish agri-food. Farmers from absolutely every sector, and we're quite keen on recruiting farmers, but not only. So we also look for other agri-professionals, whether they are more generally in agribusiness or agriculture in a sort of a non-farmer role but adjacent, whether they're in forestry, in aquaculture, or associated professionals. We have a multitude of professions represented among our alumni. They need to be curious, to be passionate, and to be questioning of the status quo. They need to be thinkers outside the box, at the risk of being a bit of a cliche. They need to prepare to back up their words with action. So if they have thoughts and ideas that are part and parcel of their topic, they need to go and verify them against the real world out there. We do have an expectation that, because we believe that's very much a part and parcel of what makes a Nuffield person, is someone who's actively engaged in that community, whether it's in sports, community groups, or the likes. We have an age bracket of 25 to 45, and we've been flexible around it, but there is a logic to it. We want someone who's old enough to have a bit of life experience, but young enough to still have time to contribute and to give back. To quote our current chairman, Joe Leonard, we don't want somebody who looks at this as a retirement project. It has very much to be somebody who can still give back. But as I said, we have been flexible in the age guidelines for exceptional individuals. We are looking for people who are committed and self-disciplined enough that they will meet the program's deadlines and fulfill the obligations that it entails. And I think if you recognize yourself in some or all of the Nuffield values, you're probably a good candidate. Back to humility, so knowing that you don't know everything, I suppose. Respect, and it's respecting others, it's respecting different cultures, different mindsets, different approaches. Integrity, that kind of goes without saying nearly. You are, in effect, what you're doing is research. And if you don't have integrity, your research will not be worth the paper it's written on. So, in other words, you need to be prepared to find things that go counter your own expectations. Reciprocity, I've said already a few words on it, but it also extends to coming back with your findings and sharing them widely. Diversity, and that's all forms, whether it is gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, etc., all forms of diversity, neurodiversity, and everything that it entails. Thought leadership, and continuous learning mindset. Every day is a school day. So if that's my kind of sketch of what is probably one of our ideal candidates. But as I said, you mightn't recognize yourself in all of this, but some of it would be pretty good. So that's as it is. So I just want to thank our scholarship sponsors. FBD is our main sponsor. We have 3 founding sponsors, and that's the FBD Trust, the IFA, the Farmers Journal, and the Golden Jubilee Trust. 4. And then we have a number of other sponsors. We have some in the pipeline that will join this group from next year, all going well, cross fingers and toes. And I like to quote this, which I know Karen likes to quote as well. It's a quotation from John's sister, who was Nuffield UK chairman back in 1976. And it kind of comes back to what I just said about what constitutes an ideal candidate. Nuffield scholars must be penetrating in their analysis, forthright in their reporting, courageous in their practices, provocative in their advocacy, and adventurous in their forecasts. So that's me finished presenting the program. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm happy to share those slides with whoever wants them afterwards. They just need to drop me an email. It's not difficult. You can see it here, exec@nuffield.ie. Not complicated. It's also, you can find it on the
can put it up.
website.
We can put that up again at the end, actually, Catherine.
Yeah, I will do so. I'll put it in the chat. I'll stop sharing for now and I'll put it in the chat.
Great. Thanks very much,
Thank
Catherine. You. So we're just coming up to 7:30. So what we'll do now is Karen. Karen is a former chairperson and is the brains behind a lot of stuff that has happened over the last few years, I must say. And internationally as well, she put a lot of structure in that. So Karen, will you give us a few minutes? I will be watching the clock because I want to leave plenty of time for questions. Just your experiences and highs and lows, and just things that people should be aware. All the good stuff, but maybe the other bits of it as well. And you need to turn on your microphone.
Good on you. I think I'd know that stuff at this stage. So thanks, Andrew. And as Andrew said, I did stay involved. I took the old reciprocity very seriously. I stayed for about 10 years in Nuffield. And actually, the longer I stayed with Nuffield, the greater the stretch. You know, unfortunately, some people maybe leave Nuffield. Now, what we found is that some people are coming back to Nuffield after 10 years. Andrew, you came back after a few years. You just took a few years, or you ramped up.
I never really was away. Yeah.
So there is no right answer, but ideally, folks, this is a voluntary organisation. Catherine gets a pittance, nothing in comparison to what a normal person would get to be the executive of an organisation. So nobody else is going to give you 18 grand plus a mentor plus. Nobody for your personal development. And sometimes people assume their salary, you know, and the kind of hours they put into it, and that's not apples and oranges, folks. It's a different comparison. Nobody is going to give you 18 grand for yourself. And the thing about Nuffield is, well, if I look at what I got out of it, I know I probably come across now as having my sheet together, as they say, but when I was 39 when I went for Nuffield, and really lacking in confidence in comparison to now. You can be friends. We can be friends. But no, the path, the opportunities to stretch, and therefore, you know, you come to a certain level of growth, and then there's another opportunity for another level of growth. So it is the best thing I've ever done. I've an MBA, I've degrees, I have a master's in drama, which was great crack. But there's nothing in comparison to Nuffield. And the thing now, I mean, my friends slag me. They'll say, we'll ring Karen because she'll know someone. Like, the network is, you just don't have access to this kind of a network. And those of you who do network will know that you only get out of a network what you put into it. You never go with your cap in your hand before you've invested in it first. And that's just saying that to you folks to manage your expectations. So look, Nuffield is a great adventure. It's really exciting. Like, you meet people, your thinking is stretched. Like, I was on a cranberry farm, peppermint farm. I've been all over the world, Brazil, Netherlands, and look, you don't need these countries as it, but I've worked, like, Nuffield has taken me to do some work in all of those countries. And travels always stretches the mind and stretches the thinking, but the learning, like, it's really exciting to be surrounded by people who are learning. It's very motivating, it's very energizing. So it's a time of your life where you're kind of given a whoosh, and the visibility has been very interesting because everybody watches Nuffields. I mean, we kind of underestimate the network in Ireland, that once people see people look out for who are the Nuffields this year, and then they test them on the journey and see, you know, are you stepping up? Are you growing into it? Are you getting confident? Well, fine then, how about you come on board with? So it's great to see like there are some people in Ireland and you say Nuffield and they go Nutfield. What's that now? No, I've never heard of it. But a lot of people in the agri-food sector will watch it for movers and shakers and people who they think will stretch thinking. Um, and look, the other thing is when you're representing Nuffield, you're expected to live the values of Nuffield. So when you do that, you're getting the best out of yourself, and you're usually meeting people at their best. You know, like people in Nuffield are trained to help other people. So as soon as people pick up the phone, you know that the expectation is that you're going to help them. And you don't get that always from humans. So it is a lovely community of giving back. And again, you get out in Nuffield what you put into it. Like the hard bits, how many of you are eldest children? Folks,
Yeah.
with the cameras off, you can just put your hand, you can just put a tick.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of alphas in the room when you meet the other the 120 people that'll be on the Contemporary Scholars Conference with you, and learning to actually default to, isn't that interesting? As opposed to going, who does your man think he is? Jesus. So there's a lot of tolerance that is built in when you're dealing with that passion and that enthusiasm and that kind of strength of character that you meet. It invites you to stretch. So the biggest thing for me was overcoming the imposter syndrome because I'm not.
Can I ask you there, Carol, just from a personal point of view and family life and that kind of thing, how did you juggle all that? Because I'm sure there are questions that will come up for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are in that exact time of life or stage or whatever.
And men and women,
kind of generalizing a bit, but just
men and women juggle it differently, if I can say that. Like, so I left for I did 3 weeks in New Zealand, and I left the freezer full, and I bought extra uniforms so that it could go through a week. And then I got a friend of mine to move in. So, and then, instructed my husband to bring the kids to his mother-in-law at the weekends. And so they were all delighted with that, right? But it really reshaped how we were, how we behaved and the expectations of each other. But what I'd say to you is if you have any questions on this stuff, reach out to Catherine and myself, especially, on maybe that side of it, because all of the women have been through this, and there's journeys to talk about. But similarly, the men, reach out to some of the lads and say, how did you manage it? And they'll tell you, because there's lots of different stories on that. That's the funding is a bit of a battle. Like, I'm self-employed. I found paying for everything a bit of a stretch. I will not lie, because obviously I'm not earning when I'm away. So that was something I had to juggle personally. And that's about it, absorbing the different humans and, stepping out of the imposter and being curious. And not shutting myself down and not being intimidated. They were the challenges.
Thanks, Karen. I'm sure you'll think of other bits and pieces as we go along.
That's enough, I'd say.
I'll go straight over to Brian. Brian, are you still with us?
Still here, yep.
Still there. Brian, you just introduce yourself and you can give us a few minutes and your experience.
I'm Brian Daniels. I'm a dairy farmer from South Kilkenny. And I'm farming here with my wife and our young family on a growing farm. The joys of growth and challenge. But I suppose I came at Nutfield slightly different. I was very fortunate a long time ago coming across Nutfield scholars at various stages, and I met Karen actually in New Zealand as I was trying to expand my own knowledge on how to run a dairy farm. And it was all these little bits that as I went along, I met people, and it was always there at the back of the mind that it's something I should do. And Karen did ask me a number of years ago, would I go for a scholarship myself? And I said, sure, I don't have time. I still didn't have time 2 years ago when I went for it. But I'm glad I did.
Sorry, Brian, for interrupting you. It's probably fair to say that most people that go for it are very busy people. There would be 99% probably of the people that apply.
Exactly. And it's that old saying, if you want something done, you ask a busy person. And it's probably the mindset behind, because we're busy and we're constantly thinking and changing. And that's why the scholarship suited where myself and Gail, and when I referred to the scholarship, and it wasn't me that done it was we that done it. There's the family here. Shannon's 10 now, Toby's 8, Eli's 6. So they were young, and we were busy and we were expanding as as a lot of farms are. So it was a journey that we all went on. But going back a little bit too, my topic was on incorporating clover and Irish grassland farms, and it's something that I'm doing here. And I always felt like the great pretender, doing it on my own farm. Sure, it's easy. I know the farm. I know my cows. I know my fields. But I had people asking and looking for advice, and I said, well, what works for me and everything else. And I said, there's more in it what we can do here. But if I wanted to give some kind of equality to the people that were looking for advice from me, I said the Nuffield Scholarship was the ideal thing to back it up. That at least I went off and I explored other farms, other countries, other experiences. So that was the initial thinking behind it. What I got from it since was probably a lot of slagging from my friends that went off in the jolly around the world. Gail drops it to me sometimes as well. But we got out, we saw things, we experienced things, and what now? I presented my report last November. I thought I'd take it easy for the year and sit back and relax and just let it all settle, and it is settling. But in the last week, I've been in contact with 3 of the people I was on my GFP with over various forms of social media. I have an ongoing conversation on WhatsApp for the last 4 weeks with another Irish scholar on various things between trees, environment, and everything else, and tonight on cattle. But it's the contact I have out around and even around the world then as well. The people I met on the GFP in the countries we traveled through, the people I met in countries that I did my own travel on afterwards, and they were very interesting people. And it wasn't necessarily the person I went to travel. I traveled to go and see. It was the person I met on the way, or I met after. They go, oh well, you should really meet the next person down the road, or vice versa. And that was the big advantage to it. Some of the challenges, like we're farming 172 hectares here. There's 270 dairy cows plus followers. We thought we were set up. Gail and myself discussed it. We put in contingencies. We put in everything. We had the grazing measurements sorted, and Gail did a lot to take over just the family end and look after that. But there was one instance I had a Sunday off in Denmark. Myself and the lads on our GFP, we went to Legoland and just checked that Toby isn't listening. But Toby found something interesting out in the yard, and Gail messaged me to say, can I talk to Toby? So I had to find the most boring background in Legoland to do a video call back to Toby here in the garden. So Gail done all that. On the farm side, we had numerous things that went well, but a lot of things went bad. Waking up in Brazil to a text message from Gail saying, I probably shouldn't tell you, but the drive wheel on the rotary, that's our milking parlour, sheared off last night. The cows were stuck on the parlour for 4 hours. So yeah, kind of quite a very helpless feeling as you try to eat breakfast in Brazil, knowing that everybody was frantically trying to manage stuff back home. But that was part of it. It was torture when we went through it, but we grew from it, and we laugh at it now. And we have a lot of
now they know they can do without you, Brian, you say.
Well, that was probably the biggest shock. Yeah, if I did go off, everything would run smoothly, and it's a wake to the personality. But it is, and that was the other thing that Gail and myself wanted to learn from Nuffield, is those things that we can do on the farm to insulate ourselves from risk and adversity and all those breakdowns. So we have numerous SOPs outside now. Where the water system is, all the stuff that's been in my head is now down on paper or down on a sign. And the big thing now is that we know we can take more time off. So be it for family events, or Gail's actually just starting something on her own end to do with a business she started up on the farm. So we know that staying at home on the farm isn't just us as farmers. There's more outside the gate. And I'm still learning. My topic, which was started off as clover, has developed into greenhouse gas emission reduction on farming. It's diversified into biodiversity as well. And these are all little things that are going on continuously in the background now as well. So yeah, just 6, 8 months out, I'm still growing and adapting in my head as I milk the cows every morning.
Great, thanks, Brian.
No bother.
Something that I just very 1 minute story of my own that I think is often kind of relevant, because just 2012 I did my own, and I was lucky enough, to was ICOS, the Co-op Society, sponsored me, and I had the very sexy subject of dairy co-ops to look into at the time, and it was just a very short bit of it was on the value of retiring members, how to get their share value back out of a co-op. And I ended up on part of my travels in the outback of Australia meeting a rice farmer, and discovered that their rice business was a cooperative as well, and they actually had the exact same issues with retiring members out of their rice co-op as our dairy co-op had here. And I never knew anything about rice, never knew there was rice in Australia. The least thing I was expecting to be doing. But the point about it is, I was at the other side of the world having the exact same conversation in a different context, but I basically was trying to solve the same problem and find the same research. That in a nutshell was it for me. So what we'll do is thanks everyone. Thanks Brian and Karen and Catherine for your presentation. So I want to open it to our new people here for some questions, because I'm sure your heads are scratching at this stage.
Andrew, could we get people to just go around and introduce themselves?
If they want to do that, we can.
Why are they throwing themselves into this?
Yeah.
Take this on.
So who wants to kick off there? Mary, I see you've turned on your microphone.
Oh, we lost.
Oh,
you're never shy.
Yeah.
It's only because I sometimes struggle to find the button. Why am I throwing myself into this, or am I? I suppose I've always been a bit of a monkey to keep pushing myself. And it's been a niggle for a long, long time that I've wanted to do, but I just, I always felt that with the family and everything we've done, there was too many time pressures. So I just thought I was getting to a stage where if I don't do it soon, it won't happen at all. So that's where I'm at. And I have a few things that I'm interested in that I'd like to learn a bit more about. So yeah, that's why. So yeah, sorry, my introduction is Mary Kinston. I live down in Kerry, but I work with a lot of farmers over the country, and yeah, I'm quite good at keeping myself out of mischief.
Thanks, Mary.
You're quite busy, you are. And so you have loads of free time now, so that's why you're going for Nuffield Scholarship. Well, it's Kenny, I see Kenny there. Would you like to have any questions?
Hello, everybody. Kenny McCauley from Mohan in County Leitrim. I run a family biomass processing business along with my father. I'm coming from a family farming background, sucklers and beef, and we've been involved in biomass for a couple of almost 20 years, and it's very much, I suppose, a passion of mine as part of diversification of our farm where it started. And I suppose a passion about, and I suppose maybe see myself as a bit of an advocate within the niche industry of biomass. As I said, I suppose diversification of farming and land use options, but a slight draw for travel as well, and seeing other regions and seeing similar challenges, and how it was, I suppose, diversification and biomass was used alongside farming in other parts of the world. I've seen glimpses of it in other roles I've been in, and I'd be very keen to explore that further and try and bring learnings home, both for our own family business and I suppose to see us as a model that can be replicated elsewhere. So I suppose that's kind of where the drive is coming from. But I'd have been fairly aware of Nuffield for the past couple of years, and like Mary has been a bit of a niggle, and I felt the need to itch that scratch this year and maybe throw my name at the hat. And I suppose having followed the journey of some current scholars over the last couple of years as well. So growing interest, and I said I'd take a stab at it this year.
Great, Kenny.
Thanks, Kenny.
We have Catherine. Catherine, we were talking to you last night. Catherine Hickey. You're still there. Your microphone off.
Yeah,
Did we answer your questions the last night? Or?
I had just come back tonight with another question, and it's very
Right,
technical.
away.
No, just as regards the application, can we save it as a PDF? Because I couldn't find any information anywhere about whether it's in a Word document, but you know the way Word moves around a bit. Can we save it before we send it off to yourself?
I'll pass that over to Catherine to answer all those questions.
Absolutely, Catherine. Absolutely.
All right, that's fine. Yeah.
Take it. That's a different application then.
Darren, can we see you?
We can. We're coming to him now. I just want to.
Good on you. Hi.
Yeah. Hi everybody. Yeah, sorry, my wasn't sure if the camera was working. Yeah, so Darren Deese is my name, and I work in the dairy industry. Work with one of the smaller processors there in Cork Creameries in Kenturk. So I suppose, look, Nuffield. I've been quite interested in Nuffield with the past number of years. Know quite a few Nuffield scholars in the past. Met quite a few of them over the years. And I suppose heard the stories that they've told and the great experiences that they had having done Nuffield. And I just think it'd be a great opportunity to get to look into an aspect of the cooperative on the sustainability side maybe and see how you could improve that and impart the knowledge to other cooperatives in Ireland also. So that's...
Were you going to say something, Karen?
Yeah, please, Andrew. Just folks, one thing we'd say to you, before you put your thoughts down on paper, if you haven't already, and you may already have, will you Google the Nuffield, and maybe if there are some in process, you mightn't be able to access them, but just Google what Nuffield papers have gone before, what Nuffield reports have gone before on your topic, and it would be expected that you'd say, look, I saw what Catherine Lascaretz wrote in 2002. I saw what Andrew wrote in 2012. And an Australian scholar has touched on it since, and this is where I think I can bring more value, as you would with any academic organisation. But there is a level of rigour expected, and also around the topic, because that's really what you're competing on. Apart from your values and who you are as a human, that's really what you're competing on in the interview. So, Darren, you mentioned sustainability, and look, we love to hear it, and we've partnered with the UN, so the sustainability goals are part of our culture now, and everybody talks about sustainability. So what is it that you're going to talk about that differentiates and layers on top of the previous research? And I'm not underestimating you in any way. I'm just saying, because you mentioned sustainability, it's a hot topic. So just maybe watching that, folks, and maybe just to flag, if we look at the Department of Agriculture and where Food Vision is going, water quality and environment, and anything that you could maybe link to in your papers, because these are the most pertinent topics maybe of our time, and we actively look for people to maybe tackle some of those as well. Is that okay?
And that's relevant to anyone that's applying. It's a new, even if it's a similar topic, but it's a new twist and to build on that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we have about 8 minutes. Have we answered your questions, everyone? Or how are we going there? Darren, sorry, maybe you had more to say there.
No, it's all good, Andrew. Thanks very much.
Have you any burning questions tonight after the presentation, or
the UNFAO in Rome? What's that about? What's the story with that?
Catherine, will you take that?
So
I'll jump in,
Karen.
Yeah, go, Karen. Yeah.
Go ahead, Karen.
There was a delay on the line, Catherine.
Yeah.
So I thought you were saying. Sorry. So in 2014 was the first time Nuffield scholars turned up at FAO. So FAO is the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. It's the huge kind of bureaucratic research and kind of cultural change center of the UN, and it's
for agriculture.
for
Food and
agriculture.
agriculture,
Instead of being based in New York like the rest of the UN, Food and Agriculture Organization is based in Rome. And since 2015, we've been bringing Nuffield scholars to Rome to show how policy is made, how policy is shaped. So they're very open to having Nuffield scholars there because of the level. Before Nuffield, there were no primary producers in the room. So policies were being formed and shaped, and there were no primary producers voices in the room. So when we go to Rome, we often have an active role in that they will look at the topics and they look at what subcommittees can you be brought into, what bilaterals can you be brought into. So it's a really interesting journey looking at how policy is shaped. And also really broadens your network. And it's a great opportunity because you come away from the CSE in March. The Committee for Food Security or the World Food Programme are in Rome, and you meet a lot of your peers again in Rome in October, and it's gorgeous. It's not too hot. It's a lovely place to be. There's worse things you can do now than build Rome into your programme.
Yeah.
Very good.
That answers your question, Darren.
Perfect chat. Thanks, Andrew.
How are we doing? Kenny or Mary, you're still with us? Catherine? Catherine is just... Kenny, you have your microphone off, so you have a question.
No, I was just going to say I'm good there, Andrew. Thank you. I'll probably come away this evening with lots of questions afterwards, thinking of it tonight. But for the moment,
you have Catherine's email address.
Catherine,
yeah, I've put my email address in the chat, so don't hesitate. Because we're all the same. We all think of the good questions after the session is over.
And folks, my topic is leadership. I meant to say that. So if anybody, Catherine, would benefit from having a chat with me about any aspect, you're welcome to give them my email.
Brilliant. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, I'll just come in there as well. Just on the program that Catherine explained earlier. I have another knock on the door behind me. I'll talk to you in a second, Roy. Sorry, family life. But the program itself, it is very well structured, and I did my very best to commit to it. And the monthly reports and engaging with the mentor, there's a huge amount of support out there for anyone that's going through that journey. Be it the people you're directly involved in, but any other scholar. Like just before I went off at the GFP, I had phone calls from other dairy farmers that have gone through it in the last 4 or 5 years previous, all offering help. They almost offered to come down and milk the cows for me. There's a great network out there, and the program is very well structured. And if you follow it through, and just the sheer delight of submitting your final report. And sorry, Catherine,
relief, I think it is.
Relief.
Yes, yeah. I didn't say that at the conference, but yeah, I had it up, and I had it there for the website as I presented. And yeah, it was absolutely just a wonderful feeling to know that it's done. But it gives you that confidence then afterwards, because if you follow it through. So yeah, that's all I'll add.
Thanks, Brian. Have we any final questions? No. Catherine, you did a fabulous job, and Karen and Brian wrapping it all up into a nice bow for everyone. So
great to meet you folks, and sorry, Andrew, we might.
No, it's fabulous to meet everyone. Yeah. And as we said, Catherine, I think you have the contacts there. So if you think of any more questions, please contact any of us, and Catherine in particular. So I think if you're any more questions, no, okay. So look, we'll draw the evening to a close of that. Thanks to everyone for joining us, and thanks to Catherine in particular, and Karen and Brian. So hope that you all apply.
Yeah.
And we'll. Sorry, we didn't mention the dates, because the deadline for the application is the 22nd of August next. So what's that? A week away, just over a week away.
Yeah.
And then there'll be interviews. The first interview will be on the 5th of September, with the final interview on the 12th of September. And don't forget our conference on the 14th of November.
And interviews are in person, folks.
Yes.
In person. Okay, so the deadline anyway is the first thing. Application deadline is the 22nd of August. So great. Thanks very much to everyone, and have a great evening. You can go back and enjoy the sunshine.
Sound. Best of luck.
And good luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye.